Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds. Of Harvesting Wisdom. I'm your host, Mike McMahon. I'm here in Park City, Utah for the last Sundance Festival after a couple of decades. It's kind of a sad thing to see it leaving the city. It's a big part of the culture. The vibe here is amazing. But we've had a wonderful time. It's extremely busy and hectic. Really hard to find a parking spot or to get around. With the buses and stuff are all free, but it's a little bit of a challenge. But we've been fortunate enough to get into some private showings and parties and activations. A lot of good sponsors here and great filmmakers. A lot of people who just love the whole film industry, both writers and producers and directors and. Like any other industry, it's ever changing. So there's a few reasons to put on a film festival, and for us, because we are obviously in tune with the environment, with the work we do in agriculture and in soils, and the idea of us traveling the world and looking at different environmental events and weather events, climatic events. We're kind of in tune or in touch with what's happening in a worldwide basis. We have that. That's a big part of why we do we're doing the Phoenix Skyfire, not Phoenix, Tempe, Mesa, the Arizona Skyfire Film Festival, Environmental Film Festival. It's to show people, give awareness. But our nonprofit is also education-based, so we're very much in touch with trying to bring students in. A lot of our sponsors and benefactors are buying student tickets, high school and college-level students that might not be able to afford the festival, but we want to try to get youth involved with what we're doing. In fact, we have filmmakers, a lot of young filmmakers worldwide that are aspiring to be filmmakers that have worked really hard on creating shorts for our festival. We've been podcasting with them, but the environment is the primary reason really for me. But you could say that just as important is civic pride. We're bringing together 3 cities. I don't know if that's been done. We think we'll be in certainly the top 10 events that will happen in Arizona. It can be recurring, and we certainly hope it will be, and ever expanding throughout Arizona. But this trip that we've made here to Sundance has been, one of the big U.S. film festivals, and it's really been a work in progress, but it's been a success story. And coming here, you can really feel the vibe. Park City really could be called Sundance because everything and everyone here that descend here for 10 days are involved with this. And the locals, the economy it's great for the economy and that kind of thing. But what does it take to actually do something like that for business leaders, for individuals in a city, for public officials? What does it take to come together? And it brings about some memories of books that I've read. On one of them was Devil in the White City, and it talked about Chicago in, I think it was 1894. And this is now the industrial age, but it's before electricity. So the streets were lit by kerosene lamps, which had a light glow compared to our illumination today. But it also, produced soot. the largest cattle yards in the country, the stockyards in the country were in Chicago. So imagine the smell that produced. It was right in the train stations. They had the biggest central train station in the country, moving grains and cattle into the eastern seaboard. So at that time, they were also, for heating buildings, they were using coal. So think about the energy source for that. All the buildings were covered in like a soot, black soot as well. So not exactly the most glamorous place on earth, but the city, people who lived in the city were proud of what they had and what they'd accomplished. And so they wanted to show the world, and they entered the World's Fair competition, and they won, but they had to come together, which was amazing. So probably the best architecture in American history. The beginning of the skyscraper came out of this, with Louis B. Sullivan and a tremendous amount of architects. The Olmsted, which was our first great landscape architect, built over 200 some parks, city parks, including New York's Central Park, but he built a park around this event. The buildings were skeleton in nature, so they were the largest buildings ever at the time, probably 10 stories. But they didn't have the money or the resources to finish the buildings on the outside, so they more or less put a canvas up and sprayed hemp. Didn't have time to paint or create paint, so the hemp was, from a distance, looked white, but it was kind of a dirty white or a colored white. But they were looking for a way to light the whole thing up. The debate between DC and AC electricity, and Edison won out, and so we ended up with AC electricity, and that's what powers all the cities in the world today. But this was the first city that was lit up, so that's where Devil in the White City comes from. From a distance, you could see illuminated buildings with real illumination, not with kerosene. They were high-rise, and they also needed a special thing to compete with the Eiffel Tower. So they came up with, they ended up choosing the Ferris Wheel. It was never been built up until that time. It was not their first choice, but again, they were running out of time, so they built it. And imagine a wheel that would have cars that would fit 100 people. And I don't remember how high it was, but it was significantly high, maybe 100 feet high. So first time in history that humans, the average person, was ever up in the air. It was really before commercial airplanes and that. So you're seeing, from that standpoint, this looked like the most modern thing in the world, and it brought the world to Chicago, and it puts Chicago in a great light. And so it ended up being very difficult for the leaders and the government to put together. It took a leap of faith for them to do it, but in essence, it put Chicago on the map. So I look at that. I look at another book, Boys in the Boat, which was same, maybe 4 decades later, the 1936 Olympics that went to Germany. There was a group of rowing kids that rowed for University of Washington. They were not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. At that point, Seattle was a very blue-collar city. It was in the Depression in the United States, so lots of poverty, a lot of hardships. And the boys ended up rowing very well, and they ended up beating all the Ivy League schools on the Eastern Seaboard, which was not something anyone expected, but they were entitled to and qualified to go to the Olympics. Problem is they didn't have the money to do so. It doesn't seem like that big a deal to any of us now, but sending an entire crew team with the boats, with the shells that they had, and put them up in Germany. They had to take a cruise ship over there to be in the Olympic team. Was an expensive thing. But again, the city leaders, the city came together, and at every level they scrapped together to put these kids into that cruise ship to go to the Olympics. And they then were racing against the much favored German team, and they ended up winning the gold and beating the German team right in front of Adolf Hitler. One of the things that upset him greatly, I think, from the Olympics was seeing that happen. But again, this is something that Civic Pride produced. It put, again, Seattle on the map. So when we look at that, we understand the concept. And flash forward to today, I just went to hear Michael Crow at ASU, the visionary that's really put ASU on the map. You know, he's turned ASU into one of the top 10 schools in the country. They're actually in the top 5 of many categories.
Number 1 for innovation.
And for innovation, they are number 1. But he showed how connected they were with the community. He showed a map of hundreds and hundreds of companies that are involved with technology, and it's changing and transforming Arizona. Arizona in the past didn't have the strongest base industry. We were the 5 C's, cattle and citrus and cotton and copper and climate. And today we still have copper, and we still have the climate with a lot of visitors for tourism. But now we have technology with the big microchip facilities that are being built and all the support behind it. So we see what can happen when a community comes together. Not getting lots and lots of government support, they don't have their hands out. They're actually building something as a group and as a team. I think the Arizona Skyfire Film Festival has the ability to do the exact same thing, and that's the concept. The second concept. It's not just about the environment. It's not just about civic pride. It's also about the film industry, you know. And so those are the 3 major results I think that we're hoping to achieve with what we're doing.
Okay, so you said that this was going to be a mind-altering experience, and it was. There's so many different things that we did here. One of the things that I was really amazed with was there really is, through the activations, a really independent way for each company to engage the community, because they really were, these activations, it was open to the public, but more than that, so they could talk about not Sundance or really even the movies, but who they were as a company, but they were also able to bring VIP guests to these activations. So talk to me about some of your favorite activations here at Sundance.
Well, I've been coming to Sundance for the better part of 20 years, so I'm kind of familiar, and I told you, you need to come with me to see this, to understand or experience. It's not, even though this is really about filmmakers and making and writers and directors and actors, that's the primary thing. It's really about community, and it's about that civic pride we talked about. But the idea of what you call activations is that not everything is in the big theaters. We have the big Mix Center in Tempe and Arizona Science. The biggest screens in Arizona are part of what we're doing right now. But we now have some smaller venues too that will be doing private screenings. Some of them are just trailers for documentaries that are still looking for funding. So hopefully we have people coming that are finance people that want to be behind it, right? Sure. And these activations though are smaller in scale generally. They're pop-ups usually put together by corporations that want to bring their client base out there. They want to show the community that they're supporting the community, they're supporting the entire effort. So we've seen, the Chase Sapphire card.
Acura.
We've seen Acura, Honda. They put an entire pop-up building in. We went to the Rockefeller Foundation event with the private screening at 2050, Food 2050, amazing. And they're quaint, they're private, and they're kind of special. You know, we went in and they had, you know, a small musical guests there. They had really incredible food. For if you're a foodie, it wasn't junk food, right?
Yeah.
There's liquor and wine companies that would sponsor or be part of that sponsorship, and then you'd get the screening, and then we've done lots and lots of panel discussions. We've listened to a lot of them with really amazing people, right?
Well, and the important thing is you're in there with 100 people, and we went to the Kentucky Film Association one.
Right.
We met 3 or 4 different documentarians. We met the person in charge, so you have access, and then you get that different perspective or point of view.
Sure, you can have, and you know, there's enough movies that if you're a sponsor, you can pick a movie that resonates with what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Whether it's education or community, or if it's farming or whatever it may be. It can be something as short, something is 10 minutes long. We've got some that are 5 minutes long. It can be student-led. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. But what it really is if you visualize these private events, you know, it's all about exclusivity, inviting your clients to come and for one evening have this event that usually goes about 2 hours. You know, you have a variety of panel discussions and people mingling and talking. And it's just a great way to get your brand out there on something that's super positive and community driven.
And whether it's the public or whether it's the client base that you have, the interesting thing too is we've in just 3 short days have had a huge diversity of climate and environmental or just topics that we were able to see. And you know, honestly, that to me was just incredible to see. So you might see a short film from some students from Turkey. You might see a short film from a student from Ireland, or
a major premiere.
A major premiere, and we plan on having 3 premieres. So we have a premiere on Sunday, and we don't want to let the cat out of the bag for a Friday, Saturday. But we're also getting great local artists that have a tie to Kentucky and Arizona, like Peter Bick, who's a documentarian from Arizona State University, and other well-known documentarians. So it gives you access to people that you wouldn't normally be in the room with.
Yeah, you're seeing a completely different world, and these are the people that are chronicling stories. That's what it's really about worldwide. And you and I do these podcasts in, you know, Africa and South America, North America, Europe, Asia, and we see some common issues, but we also see common solutions.
Right.
You know, that are, okay, this is not politically motivated. This particular solution or that solution isn't going to threaten or jeopardize anybody's business model. They're just better ways of doing things, right? And so I think by bringing these films, you're telling those stories, you're creating awareness, you're also creating that next level down, which is that consideration level,
Yeah.
and that interest level. And ultimately, that's where change starts. It's,
Well,
you know,
you bring up
it's
a
a
good
change
point.
of heart.
You're an avid reader. You probably read at least 1 book a week. We've come here and we've seen several different film movies, and ours is, we've had 180 different film festival movies being submitted. How often can you go and hear or see 20, 30 different stories that are unique, that are from all over the world, that are looking to solve challenges to a specific problem? So that to me is the exciting part too.
Yeah, and the idea of drawing people to a major event in Phoenix, this would be one of the few cultural events, not sports
That's a good
related,
point.
right? So, you know, Phoenix is changing its face. We're becoming more positive to business, to the education, the largest, you know, institution on the in the country, maybe on the globe, I don't know. But it's not just ASU. There's U of A, NAU. There's Grand
GCU,
Canyon
yeah.
University. There's so for people to come into our city and see what we're really like, see that we are pro-business, but we're also pro-environment, right? We're pro-community. This is kind of cool because you come to Sundance, it's beautiful here in the summer, but this isn't done in the summer. This is done in the winter. It's an extreme for a lot of people, and it's been very cold this weekend. I've been here before where it snowed 2 or 3 feet while we were here and so it's a completely different experience.
Okay, so that's a great point. I think it's intentional because they're supporting the ski industry. So Sundance gets about 120,000 visitors, and coincidentally enough, it drives business to their
Well, not just that,
here.
but people fall in love with the place and buy
absolutely.
homes here.
Right.
And they go out to dinners, and there's a million art shops here. Well, we have all that in Phoenix as well.
And it's the best time of year for
yeah.
us.
You can go, for our time of the year, it's perfect weather usually.
Yeah.
It could be warm, but cool at night, or it could be a little chilly, but definitely you're not shoveling snow, and you're not, experiencing a flood or a tornado or anything like that. And in Phoenix, there's all of our museums. There's the art galleries. There's Tempe Town Lake, where you can go and get exercise. There's hiking on South Mountain. There's a lot of things.
Great museums and points of interest.
And so it's a great way to showcase the 3 cities that are involved right now. And our goal is to have it in the entire state of Arizona, in each city, each major city: Yuma, Tucson, Scottsdale, Chandler, Flagstaff. So I think we're underway in getting it done, and I just think that the vibe is going to be super positive, just like it is here.
So we're getting ready to share the podcast with James from Ireland. He's talking about his project this week, so stay tuned to other podcasts coming up with our student films from around the world. You have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, if you have an interest, and I think that it is a matter of civic pride, and it's not just that, it's a way of giving back. The story of Woody Hayes, when his team was having a major game, and the winner of that game was going to go to the national championship. So they flew out of town, won that game, and then they flew back. But the interesting part was the fact that the supporters from the school, the alumni, bought all the women who were on this trip, this out-of-town game trip. They bought them all, a dozen roses. When they got back off the plane, they started handing them out to the women, and Woody Hayes grabbed all the flowers and put them in his car. No one even knew why. He didn't explain it to anybody. He just took them. People might have been curious, but what it was is that Woody Hayes was then spent the rest of the night going into hospitals and handing terminally ill patients these roses. And it was part of what he coached. So what he coached and what he believed, he lived. And that is the concept of paying forward. All of us who've been in Phoenix we're fortunate. The city of Phoenix, I was able to build my businesses, raise my children there. But how do you pay back the 3rd grade teacher that helped you or motivated you? How do you pay back the first person who mentored you when you started business? At my age, a lot of those people aren't even here anymore, right? So the concept of payback, or they call it paying forward, which is what Woody Hayes practiced, is what we can all do in the city of Phoenix. We live there, we enjoy the weather, whether you play golf or you've run your business or raised your family here. This is, again, a way to make the city better. We all want to sit back and complain about, different elements of, crime or whatever it may be, the temperature in the summer, which we all know is going to be warm. But this is something you can do that's a positive thing that helps the community.
It's our time to shine,
and
right?
This is it right here. And I think this event can be, one of the leading events for our city. And I think it puts us on the map for people who are looking for that sophistication, because this ties in with the arts. Down in the future, hopefully there's a music festival that goes along with this, and culinary experiences, so that people see Phoenix the way Michael Crow sees Phoenix, as the innovator, as the #1 state in the country for innovation, and it's a state. He believes that this timing is perfect. This year's the 250th anniversary of our country, and the concept of democracy, and the idea that democracy is a work in progress, and it's something we have to participate in. We can't sit back and let other people be the only ones who are involved with the future of this country, right? So I think this is a major event, and I hope other people see it that way too. And I'm really looking forward to what we can do. Very short amount of time for this year to be able to pull it off. So ideally, we get sponsors that just want to be founding sponsors, whether they're individuals or whether they're companies. And if you're somebody in Phoenix, if you are the best auto body shop, if you're the best, consider yourself, the best at building schools or whatever it may be, then this is your opportunity to show it.
Absolutely.
And to be part of it. And the idea of activation is we get small venues. There's a ton of people up and down that light rail, a ton of businesses that have offered us their venue. So we can work in cooperation to create an individual experience, that activation experience that you're talking about. So it's really about you and your business and your branding, not necessarily about all the other stuff that's going around you.
Well, and that's the thing. If we did a film festival where all we did was show movies, we wouldn't spotlight or showcase our identity. All those businesses you described, it's everyone. We want everybody engaged,
it's an event.
Involved.
Yeah,
it's an event.
We're not sitting back watching it on a movie on our cell phone.
It is truly a spotlight for the city, not just us.
Well,
and
the entire state, right?
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
not, so that's the idea, and we hope people to join us. And we're here in Sundance now. You can see the mountain behind us, and see the town lift. It'd be nice to get a little more snow here, but usually a slow beginning means a strong finish. So hopefully that's the case here, and it's been a great experience. The vibe is electric.
Oh, it's incredible.
That's what we want in Arizona when we pull ours off as well.
Goodbye from Sundance.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.